All right, so we're starting our next unit, which is measurement. And so we're going to do 2 measurement units. The second one is going to deal with the metric system that you're probably most used to. That's stuff like centimeters, meters, kilometers, stuff like that. We're not going to do that right now. That's going to come up in the next unit. For now, we're going to focus on the imperial. All right. The imperial system uses a couple like 4 big ones that we're going to talk about for measuring distance. There's an inch, there's a foot, there's a yard, and there's a mile. Okay, inch is pretty small. It's about the size of your finger, like the first digit of your finger. A foot is 12 inches. So if you want to think about it, if you've ever held like a ruler in your hand, those are usually 1 foot long, or the space from on your hand, from the edge of your hand to your elbow is about 1 foot long. Okay. A yard is very, very similar to a meter. So if you've ever seen those meter sticks that teachers use, it's very, very similar length, or it's about, if you're walking, about the length of a step as you go from one place to the other, as you put your foot in front of each other, normal walking speed. A mile is really big. It's more than 2 times as big as a kilometer. So if you want to think about how far something is in miles, it's usually when you're measuring a really big distance. Like if you're going to drive somewhere across town, you would use miles. Everything else, you're almost always going to be using inches and feet. Yards work, but we don't use them as much as you use meters when you use imperial, when you use metric. That's just like the way it is. Most stuff is measured in feet, unless it's really small, then it's inches. So the focus of this video that I want to talk about is how to convert. So when you're given either inches or yards or miles or feet, how to change it from one to the other. So for example, you might get a question that says, oh, if you have 8 inches, how many feet is that? Convert it from one to the other. Or you might get 8 feet and say, how many inches would that be? So I'm going to give you a handout and I want to show you how to use that handout. The handout looks like this. Okay. It's really messy and complicated because I included this stuff over on this side that will help you use imperial and metric. But like I said, this unit we're only doing imperial, so you can ignore this part of the sheet. Don't lose it. We'll use it next time we get back to this unit. So we're just going to look at this part, this little chunk of your handout for now, until you become an expert on how to use it. Then I'll teach you about how to use the next part. So this is the way that this chart works. I tried to make it as straightforward as possible. So you take your question. We say we have 8 inches and we want to change it to feet. So what we do is we find where's inches on the sheet. So I have inches right here. That's where I start. I put my finger there, whatever you want to do to remember. Got my hand on that. Okay. Then you want to find where are you trying to go? Well, I want to go down here to feet. So I need to follow the arrows. This arrow is going towards feet, so I'm going to use this one. If I was going from feet up, I would follow this red arrow on the side. So I'm going to go down this way, and we can see the symbol next to it is divide. So I'm going to take my inches number, which is 8, and then I'm going to divide by this number that's right beside it, 12. So 8 divided by 12, and when you put that in your calculator, you get 0.66, okay? That's the answer. So when the question said convert 8 inches to feet, I do these calculations, I show my steps, and then I write 0.66 feet. That's it. Let's do it again. We'll do the next one. I'm going to go through a bunch of examples, so if this starts making sense, you're pretty good. We're going to do some harder ones too, though, okay? So let's erase everything we just did, and we'll do it again. So this question said 8 feet to inches. So we start at feet, and I want to go up to inches. So I'm going to start with my 8 feet, and then it says I have to do multiplication because I'm going this way and it says multiply. So 8 times the number beside it, 12, equals. So when you do 8 times 12, you get 96. So the answer is 96 inches because we want to go from feet to inches. That's it. Let's do another one. This one's a little trickier. It says 10 inches to miles. So what we're going to do for this one, we start at inches and we have to work our way all the way down to miles. So we need to do it as 3 steps. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so first I start with my 10 inches, and then I have to divide by 12. When I do that, 10 divided by 12, you get 0.833, whatever. Now I need to divide again. Right here, I need to divide by 3, because that's what it says to do next on my chart. So when I say divide by 3 on my calculator again, I get 0.27777. Okay? Now I have to divide again, as I go down this last part, by 1760. Yeah, miles are big. Okay? So I'm going to divide by that, and I got 0.000157828, I think. Okay? So that would be my answer, that many miles. Now, obviously, that's kind of a silly question, right? Because inches are very, very small. Miles are very, very big. So you have way less than 1 mile when we think about 10 inches. But that's how we use the conversion chart. Let's do the next one. 3 miles to feet. So let's erase all the stuff. We'll do it again. Oop. Okay, erase this. So miles to feet, so I'm going to start on miles, and then I'm working my way up to feet. So I need to do the multiplication twice. So I'm going to start with my 3 miles, and then I have to do times, as I go through here, 1760. So times 1760 gives me 5280. Cool. Now we're going to go up again. We're going to multiply again, this time times 3. So I'm going to write times 3. Times 3 gave me 15840. And we ended at feet, so I can write feet. That was the answer for that one, sorry. That's it. That's the final answer. The next one, yards to feet. We'll do there's only 2 left. Okay, so we'll do this next one. Let's erase this. And I'm just going to move this down. There we go. Okay. So we want to do yards to feet. So again, I start at my yards. So yards is right here. And then I'm going to move to feet, which is right there that way. So I started with 4 yards. And I need to do, as I'm moving up, I need to do multiply. So times 3. So that's going to be 4 times 3 is 12. So I can write the answer 12 feet. And the last one, 2 3/16. This one's a little tricky because it has the fraction. What you're going to do, just to make your life so much easier when you're using calculators, just change that fraction. So all you do on your calculator, you do 3 divided by 16. The top number divided by the bottom number. Okay? That's going to give you some fraction, or some decimal rather. So I got 0.1875. So this number is the same as 2.1875. So I'm going to use this number, that many feet, to figure out my answers. So I'm going to start with feet right there. And then I need to move to inches. So feet's going up to inches, so I got to multiply. So I have 2.1875 times 12, because we did times 12 right there. And that gives me 26.25. 26.25 inches. Cool. So that's it. That's how you use these charts. Just be careful when you're reading it. If you're going to multiply or divide, the more you use it, the more practice questions you do, the better you'll feel about how to use this chart. And then once you get that down, going back to the old, converting between metric won't be that hard either. It works very, very similar. The one thing you can think about while you're doing this, let's just look at this one for example. Okay. The high up ones on this chart are very small. And the ones at the bottom are very big. Okay. So if you have a small number and you change it into a big number, so if you have like 2 inches, obviously that's going to be a very, very small amount of miles. Whereas if you start with miles and you turn it into inches, it's obviously going to be very, very many inches. And it can help to just kind of visualize it in your head to make sure your answer makes sense. So I started with yards and went to feet. So let's erase this. I started with yards and went to feet. So feet are smaller. So I should have more feet than I do yards. I had 4 yards to start and 12 feet to end, so that makes sense. If visualizing in your head, trying to understand it that way doesn't really work for you, just use the chart. That's why we have this chart to help us out. And that's it.